John.
Josh, have you been able to get an answer for me yet as to how many of those that are released with the promise of returning to a court date are actually showing up for their hearing?
I don't have a specific number in front of me, John. There are a couple of things.
I've been asking this for a couple of weeks.
I know.
Is there a reason why you can't?
But there are a couple of things that are important for you to understand. The first is that if I did have that number here, it would not necessarily give you an accurate picture of what's actually happening. Because what we're seeing is that we've seen this recent surge just in the last few weeks of recent arrivals. Sometimes, because the backlog is rather lengthy, the notice to appear is in some cases a rather lengthy period of time. So that would not those who are given a notice to appear but did not appear for their court date, that might not necessarily give you a very accurate picture of what exactly is happening.
But it's a pretty small number, right? I mean, not many are showing up for their hearings, right?
I don't have the number in front of me, John, but what we have.
I mean, or is it closer to 10% than 100%?
I think what the number would illustrate, if I had it in front of me, it would illustrate that the court system is not operating as efficiently as we would like it to, particularly in light of the recent surge at the southwest border. And that's why we're seeking additional resources to whittle down that backlog, to more efficiently deal with those who've been recently apprehended, and making sure that we are enforcing the law.
So the LA Times filed a Freedom of Information Act request and got some of the numbers for previous years. And it showed that back in 2008 there were more than 8,000 minors who were sent back, who were deported. And last year that number had fallen to less than 2,000. I mean, it was almost a fifth of what it had been. Right. Doesn't that show that what you were saying is disinformation when the smugglers promise that they'll be able to stay? I mean, effectively, it's true. This administration has not really been deporting minors.
Well, no, John, what's important is the difference between 2008 and the more recent statistics that you're citing is the passage of that law by Congress in 2008 that was signed into law by the previous president. And what that law mandated was a difference in the way that children who arrive in this country from non-contiguous countries are treated in the immigration system. So the numbers that you cite reflect, or at least are the consequence of, this administration's consistent commitment for enforcing the law. What we are seeking is greater authority for the Secretary of Homeland Security to exercise some discretion that would allow him to make that process more efficient, and in some cases, more quickly and promptly remove some children from this country if it is found that they don't qualify for humanitarian relief. So, understanding those numbers that were presented in the Times this morning requires someone to take into account what the enforcement of the law requires, and what that law required was a longer process for adjudicating the cases of these children from non-contiguous countries.
But the bottom line is, what it shows is that minors that are coming into this country illegally are, by and large, have been able to stay because there have been so few deportations. I mean, you may blame it on the law, others may blame it on lax.
John, I'm not blaming it on the law. I'm merely citing that this is what the law requires. There are some suggestions from our opponents that the problem here is the president's not enforcing the law. The fact is the president is enforcing the law. And what we are seeking is greater authority to more effectively enforce that law that would allow the administration to act more quickly, in some cases, to return children from the country where they originated if it's found that they don't have a legal standing for remaining here.